in a Sunday night game that should have been a defining victory, one of the best of the DeMeco Ryans era with the Houston Texans, instead turned into a defining loss and what has become the standard for this football team in the second half. They fall apart. They have an epic collapse. They choke away the game. To just not be able to get anything going on offense in the second half, to come up with an absolute zero in the second half is just totally, utterly unacceptable when you played as well as you did in the first half. Halftime is 15 minutes or whatever it is. You barely have any time to go in there and fix things. And somehow, some way, every week, the opposing team's defense figures out how to stop, slow down, and absolutely tear apart the Houston Texans offense. And Bobby Slowick and the offense, somehow, some way, do nothing to counteract adjustments that come their way. A zero in the second half when you led 23-7 at halftime, to not be able to put up a single point in the second half, when you had a chance to take down one of the best teams in football at your place for a season-defining victory. Instead, it turned into yet another choke job, gag job, fall apart, epic collapse, whatever adjective, adverb you want to use there in the second half. It wasn't good enough on any level. CJ Stroud wasn't good enough. Bobby Slowick's play calling wasn't good enough. The offensive line wasn't good enough. Guys weren't getting open. And then the defense tried to hold on as best they could, and then they ultimately ended up not being good enough as well. DeMeco Ryans talked about their execution there in the second half and how they started to kind of get a little loose and allow the Lions to get the ball going on the outside with their run game. Just an awful second half. And to come into this week with a players-only meeting coming out of the disaster that was the Jets game the last time this team took the field, and they go in and they start off so hot, it almost hurts more for this team to have it be basically the same thing again, just on a higher profile level and with a lot more of a peak to fall from with this Texans team. Because when you go into halftime at 23-7, you got to think to yourself, it's not going to take that much to hold off this Lions team. We continue to give ourselves opportunities, put a few points on the board. I mean, 10 points probably does this. You look at how the game ended up being played, 10 points probably puts the Lions away, and the Texans certainly had chances. They come out of halftime and throw an interception. That just can't happen. The first play out of halftime, when you've got a chance after an incredible finish to the first half to really put the Lions in a tough spot, you throw an interception. That's not good enough from C.J. Stroud. That's not a good play call from Bobby Slowick. Carlton Davis had that thing read like a book. Then the next time they're actually moving the football down the field, C.J. Stroud doesn't see Tank Dell fast enough. C.J. Stroud underthrows the football. They get another interception over on the Detroit side, and you take points off the board. At the very least, you take points off the board, but it should have been 7 points there. It should have been a 17-point lead, and the way that the Lions were throwing the football, there was not a lot of consistency to what they were bringing to the table. They could not throw themselves back into this game. This game had to stay close enough that they could run a lot more. They could do some of the safe stuff, which turned into great plays for them when they could run a screen pass. I mean, my God, watching the Lions run a screen pass and have it go for positive yardage, have it be a big positive for them is a fascinating thing because the Texans can't do that. They can't run a screen pass to save their life. If they throw it sideways or backwards, it's probably losing them yards or at most gaining them a couple of yards. The Lions ran back-to-back screens, one to get into the red zone, the other one to score a touchdown. It's incredible to watch a screenplay go for not just positive yardage, but massive positive yardage. And it's incredible to have such a well-timed screenplay that the defense doesn't expect it to show up. Because when the Texans run screenplays, a lot of times the defense is absolutely, totally, wholly ready for those screenplays. And I am not a fire a guy in the middle of the season type of guy, but there has to be a serious conversation in this building that Bobby Slowick's play calling. There has to be a serious conversation with the head coach, everybody associated with the decision-making in this organization, if Bobby Slowick should be the guy at the helm of this team for the rest of the season when it comes to the offense. And look, this AFC South, it stinks, okay? They are up on the Colts. The Colts basically have to finish a game ahead of them because they have the tiebreaker over the Indianapolis Colts. The way that they're playing, they're not doing that. Okay, the Titans aren't catching you, and the Jaguars aren't catching you. But you still have to be in a good situation and be in good shape as a football team when the playoffs get here, or you'll be SOT, same old Texans, where you play the first game or the second game on Saturday, and then you go on the road in the divisional round and you get beat. Because that's what this organization has done when they make the playoffs. They win a playoff game, they beat somebody that either falls apart or has a backup quarterback in, and then they go on the road against one of the elites of the AFC and they lose a football game. That's what they did last year when they beat the Browns with their backup quarterback, housed them here in Houston, and they went on the road, couldn't get anything going against the Baltimore Ravens. That's what they used to do when they would beat the Cincinnati Bengals in the playoffs. That's what Bill O'Brien would do when he beat the Raiders and their backup quarterback those years ago. And then you go on the road the next week, and one of the elites of the AFC kicks your head in. So that's what you're trying to get past. And nothing about the way that this season has gone, particularly this last month, tells you that they're anywhere close to getting past that. Yes, they're in great shape for the division, but they're still a really poorly operated football team for large stretches of the game. I mean, when they played that first half and had that level of success in the first half, one of the best first halves they played all season long, you had to at least have a little bit of fear that, oh my God, they're just going to totally wet the bed there in the second half. And surely that's exactly what they did. They just absolutely got nothing going on offense. These were the drives in the second half for the Texans. Okay. Interception, first play of the second half, interception. Okay. Then it was a punt. Then it was another interception after you actually moved the ball. Then they had a net yardage gain of 6 yards, 1 yard, and 4 yards on the next 3 possessions, which all ended up in punts. And then they missed a field goal because they couldn't get any closer. Ka'imi Fairbairn's got to kick a 58-yard field goal, and Ka'imi Fairbairn misses the 58-yard field goal. It wasn't close at all. They've got to do some serious soul searching. And I love Joe Mixon's comment after the game. I love that, hey, we're not going anywhere. I believe this is a special locker room. Guys just got to go and make plays. I get that. I understand that aspect of it, and they should have some belief in themselves. They have some really good football players on that team. On an uncharacteristic night for C.J. Stroud, who's usually a really good football player. Joe Mixon, when the offensive line can actually block for him, is a really good football player. They're going to eventually get Nico Collins back. Sure could have used him on Sunday Night Football. Don't know why he practiced on Friday and couldn't actually play in this football game. But, hey, maybe the Lions stayed up for 2 days straight worrying about Nico Collins because maybe there was a chance he was going to play. But no, he was inactive in this game, and it seems like he'll probably be back against the Dallas Cowboys, who are putrid in their own right. But, hey, the Texans somehow, some way can find a way to make any game a close game, so don't start chalking that one up against Dallas as a victory as well. But you had to have some sort of fear that the second half was going to go this way, and then to have it go exactly this way, and to not be able to pull up from your bootstraps at any point with this offense. There's so many things wrong. The offensive line's still not very good. At one point, they had to go to a silent count. It wasn't working. Larry Tunsil got blown by for a big sack. Juice Scruggs played terrible at left guard. Jarrett Patterson was fine at center, best I could tell. Shaq Mason just absolutely got housed on a play in the second half. Titus Howard ripped the ball away from C.J. Stroud at one point on a sack and caused a fumble that nearly ruined the entire second half. Don't worry, they still found a way to ruin it overall as a team in the second half. Just the offensive line's not good enough. And they still don't always operate like they've got a horrible offensive line. But you saw some a little quick stuff here and there, but you still saw some of the poorly timed overthink plays where there's, a double reverso, John Mechie in the backfield, lose 10 yards, or the sideways passes that are ill-timed. It's not good enough on offense, and they can't keep going down this direction. D'Amico Ryan saying after the game they're going to look at everything on offense, including the play calling, and he even said, hey, C.J. Stroud didn't play winning football, and he didn't. He made 2 huge errors in the second half, and one of them took 7 points off the board because he should have hit Tank Dell for a touchdown, so one of them took 7 points off the board. And even if he overthrows it and it's not an interception, Okay, well, you still might get 3 points on that, but you took 7 points off the board. So you took points off the board there at the quarterback spot. He overthought some plays. He didn't see guys that got open real quick right away. And again, so much of this offense looks difficult. It looks hard. It looks hard to make things happen on offense, and that goes back to the offensive coordinator. That goes back to Bobby Slowick. This is his offense. He's the top offensive mind in the building, and he's not good enough. And he's not good enough. And DeMeco Ryans has to have a long conversation with himself and the other decision makers in this building on if Bobby Slowick is the guy. Because I look at the Buffalo Bills last year, where they fired their offensive coordinator in the middle of the year, and then they went on the hottest of hot streaks, turned into a big-time contender in the AFC when they were kind of sputtering in the middle of the season. And you have to think about that if you're the Houston Texans, and you have to think about it because even if Bobby Slowick is able to turn around or has the talent to turn around or could turn it around, I don't know if you can wait for him to turn it around. If he indeed possesses that, which we haven't really seen that he does possess that. I don't know if you have time to wait around. Bobby Slowick, in a best-case scenario, is here for 2 more years. In a worst-case scenario, he's gone before the season's over. But C.J. Stroud's going to be here for a decade. You got to give him the best opportunity to succeed. You got to give him the best opportunity to win and help this football team help him on Sundays. And he has to be able to have a little leeway to make a mistake. Okay, he has to have that little leeway. He's not going to be perfect out there at the quarterback spot. Did he need to play better? Just like after the Jets game, did he need to play better? Yes, he needed to play better. He needed to not miss Tank Dell for a touchdown. He needed to not throw an interception coming out of halftime. But so much stuff around the league looks easy when it comes to offense, and the Texans stuff just looks incredibly difficult. It looks like it is impossible to make anything look easy for this team, and Stroud makes some plays that only a handful of quarterbacks can make to get the ball out sometimes. It should be easy and on time like all these other teams. It just doesn't happen enough for this Texans team. And any of the good stuff that you felt about the first half, it just got totally wiped away with that poor, awful, putrid second half performance. So if you're the Houston Texans, you've got to have a long conversation with your decision makers about what direction do you want this offense to go in? How many chances does Bobby Slowick get to get this thing righted when it comes to not only just the overall execution of the offense, but particularly in the second half? He cannot go out there every week and have defensive coordinator after defensive coordinator be ready for whatever he's doing. There are so many offenses. You saw it tonight with the Detroit Lions. There's so many offenses that adjust, flip, change, and go and attack defenses out of halftime, and the Texans just get muddied and stuck and spin their wheels and go nowhere. And in fact, when they do go places, they actually go backwards a lot of times. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. They are not a serious contender in the AFC. Yes, they will likely win the AFC South because this is a horrific division, but they are not a team that should be believed in right now. They have a lot of football left. They have some good opponents left on the schedule where they can buy some belief back. But I don't know why you would have any belief in this team the way it's currently constructed and operating. I don't know why you'd have any belief in this team right now. This is where you find out a lot about DeMeco Ryans. This is where you find out a lot about some of the key players on this team. Can they bounce back? Will they bounce back? Particularly the quarterback of this team in C.J. Stroud. 2 performances where maybe you would have liked a lot more out of the quarterback. Is he going to bounce back against the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football next week? And to just have 2 epic gag jobs in the second half of back-to-back primetime games, that has to be something that adds to the failures of these games. The entire football world's watching you just fall apart in the second half of football in back-to-back primetime games. It's got to be better. They've got to change. They've got to explore operations that they previously haven't to try to get some of these answers, because the direction, the operation that they have currently going on is not answering enough of the questions. In fact, it's probably just creating more questions for this team. So what say you? Let me know in the comment section down below. The thumbs up button, that's not a thumbs up on the Texans' performance. That's a thumbs up because you like the channel, you like the video. So I'd appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You saw the banners here throughout this. Appreciate Platinum AC and Heating for sponsoring this video. I need some air conditioning from my guy Dwyane to cool off after this meltdown that the Texans put together in the second half. Give him a call today. Get your special price on year-round preventative maintenance. It's the perfect time of year to start that year-round preventative maintenance. Save yourself some money with my guys at Platinum AC and Heating. Dwyane is a Texans fan just like you, so he will commiserate with you just like I do each and every time this team does something just baffling in the second half of football games, finding new embarrassing ways to lose. Dwyane can talk to you about that while he also fixes up your AC. 832-777-3683 is the number. Give him a call today. Don't miss S&L Reaction Monday, 9 a.m. Monday morning with myself and Landry Locker. You don't want to miss out on that either. So appreciate you watching the video. I'm not going to say hope you enjoyed it because I don't know that any of us enjoy what the Texans put together there in the second half. Thanks for watching. Can't wait until we talk Texans and hopefully about a better Texan situation again soon.